in as well. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Women's Fittest Goat Rodeo edition. This is gonna be chit chat. Let's do quick introductions. Melissa, go.
Are we stating what we are, what we do?
Yeah.
Melissa Brodsky, IFBB Figure Pro.
Yeah. Are you working now? What do you do you working for your dad?
Yeah, I work for my dad. We do distribution of material for commercial and industrial floors. Yeah. And I process orders, I call reps, and sometimes I visit job sites and things like that. But I'm trying to I'm a really big help, but I don't want to get too involved because I'm doing my stuff and I'm getting busier with that. And if I get too involved, I don't want to be dependent on too much.
Yeah.
Stuff, But yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. Kira.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
I can't complain. So it's always, I'm Kira Neuman. Yeah. I always say it like, I sound like I'm so full of myself. So yes, that's me. And I'm from Indiana. I live in Indiana and I own a gym with my girlfriend. We've owned it for, I don't know, 10, well, this specific spot we've owned for 4 years, I think.
Yeah.
Prior to that, we owned another gym. So yeah, I don't know. Ever since COVID, I don't remember what time or what day this is or anything. It's bizarre. Yeah. So it's like Twilight Zone. So yeah, that's that. That's me. And I have 5 dogs. My life.
I was thinking that you had a dog rescue going on over there, don't you?
I wish. That's my ultimate goal. I keep sending her pictures because Christmas is coming up, and I'm like, can we rescue this one? Can we adopt this one? We always have this attitude of what's one more?
Right.
You know?
Right.
People have 10 kids. I mean, why can't we have 10 dogs? That's my philosophy.
That's better. That's definitely.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I have my 2-year-old golden hair, and I can't imagine that I could ever love a human child as much or more. Right.
Yeah. It's amazing what fulfillment I feel I feel from dogs, and I think a lot of people do too. And they come into the gym a lot, and people will join our gym just for the dogs, I've been told. And they're just very fulfilling. If it were a child, I think everybody. Sorry, Deborah, I know you have a little girl and she's a babe, but no, our dogs I'm very fortunate. I feel that people love them.
This is
the way they do.
This is Kira's marketing. Oh, there's Maverick being cute as
shit. I love that name.
My lifting shoes, it's fine.
This is Kira's marketing tool to get people into the gym. It's dogs. She's got one of those mini vans, and it has instead of children, it has all the dogs.
I mean, it's smart. Everyone needs a therapy dog, and why not get gym therapy and dog therapy at the same time?
Honestly, that's kind of been the feedback, and everybody's like, oh my God, I think, and people come in, they're like, they'd rather work out or hang out with the dogs than work out sometimes. So, so it's a good little mix.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah.
Especially on your rest days, just come in for some dog therapy, recovery.
Exactly. We have a little bit of everything, We even have a deaf one. So if you want to talk to him, you can practice sign language. Oh yeah, he's a babe. He's so funny. Yeah, he's my little Velcro.
Aww. Hey,
I know.
How long have you been with your girlfriend?
It'll be 12 years in January. Yeah, 12 years.
Wow. I did not even know that you were a lesbian until
Oh, now are we throwing those terms? No, I'm playing. Well, no, actually, funny enough, she's my only girlfriend I've ever had. I always dated guys before her. So so I always joke. I'm like, I don't really categorize myself as anything necessarily. I'm just
the person that you
like. Who I like? Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
You just found
Yeah,
your,
that's how I've always been.
that's
Oh
awesome.
yeah.
When you came in guest pose, when I asked you to guest pose, I'm like, we went through all that. Like I spent all that time with you and all this stuff. And I don't think it was until we did our interview that I was like, oh, girlfriend, that's her girlfriend. I didn't even know.
So I never mentioned her. Oh crap, she's gonna kill me. No, I'm kidding. Really? Yeah, maybe I didn't. I kind of, yeah, I don't know. We've been together for so long. Maybe I just kind of like just an everyday thing for me, you know?
Yeah.
Just like with anything else. But
Right. It's not like you
yeah,
walk around like thinking like,
she's my girl. Oh, and probably because I say girlfriend. I don't ever say partner. I feel
Right.
like the gay thing to say is partner.
Well, I know
But-
people who are in relationships who say partner, and I think that, I mean, who are in like heterosexual relationships who say partner, and I always think it's just a weird term.
yeah,
I do too. It's so
I think it's a
like,
weird term. And
informal.
I feel like why, like, that's such a, like a standoffish term to me, if that makes sense.
Or I'm like partner
Yeah,
in
for sure.
crime, like partner in crime.
Yeah.
Well, it's
I
like
like to have that.
you have a business partner. Yeah, it's bizarre. I don't know. I've always thought it was like informal, so I never refer to her as that. I'm just like, no, or I'll say my wife because it's been 12 years, so it's like,
Yeah.
you know, might as so yeah. But yeah, the word partner is so weird to me.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre.
That could be why.
Oh, you froze. You don't have anything in your, well, Kira's hardly on Instagram anymore except to post like if a dog needs a home or something like that, which is great. But not in your
Okay.
bio or anything. So yeah, you don't have
Yeah,
any-
I just stopped. I don't know. I troll other people, but that's about it.
About
Guilty.
what are we talking about?
social media. Kira, when she
I got sick of
retired,
it.
she retired from social media as well. So
Did Melissa say she did too?
no, Melissa's on social media, posting
Okay,
regularly.
Yes,
Okay.
I am. But I think social media is the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah.
Like, it's strange. I was just talking to my friend the other night and I was like, what are you doing? And then I went on Instagram and saw in someone else's story what they were doing. And I was like, oh, here's what you're doing. And I was like, that is bizarre. Like, and he didn't even think it was weird. Like he was, yeah, that's what I'm doing. And I'm like, I just, like, I know what's going on without you even telling me. And like, I know it's still like normal to people now, but it's so weird. Like,
Oh yeah.
like what you put out there, people are piecing together a story about you, you know, whether they know it or not. And like, I posted something the other day and I was like, it was like something that like I never post about, and I put it on my story. I don't even remember what it was, but I remember thinking, I just added a piece of my life to people's story about me in their heads. Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird stuff.
That's an interesting thing to think of. Yeah, that's an interesting way to think about it. But yeah. And it's like, I'm like, oh, guess who broke up or whatever. And then guess, you know, you can like literally go on their page and find out what the deal was. Like when they break up or like what their next step in life is. Because everybody puts everything out there. So like, you don't really even have to have a conversation with people. And they just automatically think that you know because they.
Oh, we lost.
I think that's kind of weird too. Like, and I'm guilty. I do that all the time. I go and look. I'm like, oh, you guys broke up. I see it. And you can almost like tell because they don't, even if they don't come out and say it, you can like, again, piece it together from what they're posting.
I don't know. Like,
It's
I
so
know it's like out there, like they're already putting it out there, but like, I always feel like so like intrusive. Like, I don't really watch
for sure
stories that much. Like, I feel like even though like people are putting it out there to be seen, I feel like I'm like intruding and like, why do I need to know so much about so many people? Right. Like it takes up too much space in my head. Yeah. You know, I'd rather not know. And if I talk to you, we talk about something, but I don't like search things out. It's I have a really hard time with it.
Right.
It is weird though, because you can just be like, oh, I haven't seen anything from that person, or if it's somebody you don't follow even. And obviously, I mean, people probably do it to us too. Or they're like, hey, is Kira come out of retirement? Nope, just dogs. Okay.
I'll check back in another year or so. Like I'll get like random messages like, I got one that was like, oh, I miss Reese Witherspoon. And I'm like, that's not me. What are you saying? But thanks. Yeah, like I get that kind of stuff. And I'm like, still not coming out of retirement, but thank you.
You look like,
until you don't pay my bills, I ain't coming out of retirement. Nope.
oh yeah. It's an expensive sport.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not just monetarily, like you are giving everything. Like you're sacrificing a lot, which we all know that getting into it. It's not like, oh, this is a new thing, but yeah, you sacrifice a lot.
And you sacrifice
so
now,
just
and
like
sacrifice
money wise, but yeah.
Yeah. That reminds me, that was a question I was going to ask you guys. Do you think that you can find balance in professional bodybuilding?
I mean, not the kind of balance that people tell you need to have in your life.
Right.
No. I mean, people are like, you know, like my ex would say this. She's like, you know, you need, and my mom would say it when I was younger, when I was doing this stuff, you need like an equal social life, and you need to make time for this, and you can't. And it's like, I don't want that. My balance is balanced to me according to my goals.
Yeah.
It's not what someone would see because it's not even across the board.
Yeah.
You know?
I think there's a lot of women that like, especially on social media now, you get a lot of like, people like, oh, you don't have to be so strict about your diet. And I think that is a lot more like, if you have health goals, that's true. But if you have physique goals, no, you have to be way more on it with stuff.
Bodybuilding and health are not the same thing. They're not. Not.
I'm laughing because I agree. I'm like, she's got this. And I mean, like, Melissa, I know I don't know you, but like, you've been competing for how long? Because I kind of like half stalk you when I see your pictures. Because when I saw you with Shelby's page, I was like, oh my God, this girl looks fucking amazing and she's gorgeous. So I only stalk pretty people, ugly people now. But no, I'm kidding. How long have you been competing?
So I started competing when I was, I did my first show at 17. I started prep at 16. And then I competed through till I was 19. And then at that point, I took 4 years off, and
oh my God,
I wasn't going back on stage. So I was ready to go pro, got with Shelby in 2020 and turned pro. So it's like, I've been doing this for 8 years. But I had a hiatus in there from competing, not from training and everything.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's cool. That's probably I think taking a step back sometimes really makes a huge difference and can be very grounding, especially when you start out very young. That's, but that's really cool. That's very admirable. I wish like more younger kids would get into at least working out, not necessarily competing, but I think that's awesome. But yeah, like, I mean, for you to like recognize like that's their bodybuilding and health are two totally different things. That's pretty impressive, because, people get into the sport and they're like, oh my God, you get, and I was too, like you get so like in the zone with it, like you don't realize all the realities, the truths that, and I mean, I have nothing bad to say about bodybuilding. I'll just say that. I love it. 12 years, fucking love it. Excuse me. Really loved it. But, you also have to be a little grounded. And I was, I started when there was like no social media. So
Right.
Hugely different. Different.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I started like there was social media for it when I was in high school, but I didn't start posting about it until Shelby started posting me. Like I'd been doing this, and like the thing is when people start, because health is like trendy now, fitness is trendy.
Yeah.
So like people do it and then they're enjoying their workouts, they're seeing progress, and they're like, I should step on stage. No, I mean, you can if you want, but like you have to understand the implications of that kind of dieting, that kind of training. And also a point that I don't hear a lot, but I think about this a lot. The type of training that you do to bodybuild is specific. You can't just train any way you want and with physique goals, like, I mean, some people can train how they want and still look great.
Right.
But if you like CrossFit style training, why are you getting on a bodybuilding stage?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And most of the women who want to get involved with bodybuilding started off with like Fit Body boot camp or like classes, or I don't know, all this HIIT types training that they think burns fat and they think it builds muscle, but it doesn't build muscle. It just reveals the muscle because they're burning fat. And then, it's like you still have to be leaner to step on stage and you don't have any muscle. It's like very few people start out their training with a progressive overload style training for hypertrophy. That's not how women begin their training usually.
Yeah. And then they also are for the most part, I'm not going to totally generalize, but for the most part, unwilling to go through the uncomfortable stage of putting on more fat when you're putting on muscle. They just want to look leaner.
Yes.
But then they can't ever build the muscle.
It's like spot on. Yeah, like you have to almost like get fat because you have to like overcompensate because you're gonna lose a lot of that when you start dieting. So they don't realize like kind of have to get a little bit bigger, get a little uncomfortable because you have to have something to like work with, basically. So yeah, that's a very.
It's funny that you say that. I'm in this group on Facebook, and this girl, she made a post and she said, how long is a typical bulk cycle and how much is the average weight gained? I started at 140 and I'm 147. It's been almost 3.5 months. Of course, my body fat is higher. She said, so I'm getting to the point where I want to get rid of some of the fat. So she had decided now she was going to, I think, go into a cut. And I was like 3.5 months, 7 pounds up.
7 pounds, yeah. I put on 7 pounds from the week before Thanksgiving to the week after Thanksgiving. What are you talking about?
Oh God. Yes, girl. Now let's be real about this.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just unrealistic to think that you can just like get really muscular without putting on fat. Like, and I don't want to say it's unrealistic, and a lot of people don't quite understand that. And then, having to like cut down like how long that takes, and
and a lot of it is because you have to eat more food and in order to gain muscle, but with those extra calories comes extra fat.
Yeah
And then you taper it down. I mean,
and then you could probably get to a point too where you can maintain that size without having to necessarily bulk. I hate that word, bulk up, or like the bulk. I've just heard it so many times, like the bulk cycle or whatever. And people who don't compete, that don't really know, they always reference that. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like I saw this on Instagram. I'm like, oh dear God.
Well,
I mean,
even when you
I get it, but
when you build up to this, it's good to hang out there for a little bit too. I mean, you have just put on this muscle and now you want to cut and try to hold on to it. It's just like, the process is so much more time consuming than people want to, which is why, I said like health goals are completely different than, bodybuilding physique type goals. And there's so many levels of discomfort you have to get into in order to build the amount of muscle that you want to have,
And also getting lean is uncomfortable. It's always uncomfortable. You just gotta find I mean, but
I always say get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that is like throughout the whole process. Like when people are they don't, when people go into competing, you know, they go into it like if it's their first time, they go into it very blindly, and it's so hard to describe what's going to happen. Like I always just say, you don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. And that's why we just check in frequently so that we can see where you're at, because like, you don't know where you're supposed to be. And you're always going to be like, am I in the right, you know, am I good, whatever. And I'm like, just, you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and you got to just trust, you know, just trust the process.
Yeah.
Such a thing to say, but I mean, it's the truth. You have to just keep, you know, follow what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
It's
right.
really
And then
all you can do.
on top of like that physical discomfort that you get, it's also like, you know, especially when you're newer to it, you're confused. Am I feeling what I'm supposed to be feeling?
Yeah.
Like, you know, the irritability
Right.
that comes with it, or the frustration, you know, whatever it is, like,
Oh yeah.
it's like, you know, like you can question it, or you can just be like, okay, this is part of it. Gotta suck it up.
Mhm.
And if I don't enjoy this, you know, maybe I shouldn't do it. But if I get satisfaction from it, if I get confidence from it, whatever the case may be, you know, suck it up.
Well, I think that this progress,
Yeah.
I mean, progress,
Exactly.
progress is, it's not linear. Even if you know, I think that's why you have
Right.
to pick a direction and head there for a while, because even when you're doing everything right, you're not going to be, you know, you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to build a 1/4 pound of muscle every week. You know what I mean? Like there's no
I'll lose fat off my tricep. Like,
Right.
spot reducing.
Yeah, you can't stop. Right. I get that question all the time. I'm like,
Right.
yeah. But then also like with progress not being linear, the same kind of progress is not going to be linear, but you can progress in a linear way because you're always progressing, whether it's physically, mentally, as long as you're willing to, you know, like I even find that when I'm going through really hard shit, like I'm actually like, I view it as growth, you know, I'm going through this, I have to figure it out. Even if it sucks, even if it feels the backward step, it's actually something that's going to help me go forward.
Yeah. Well, this
that's
is
very true.
That's why you have to adhere and be consistent. And like you keep saying, it's like you have to put in this time and the commitment. It's not just you know, a 6-week transformation. A lot of people do like stuff like that, you know, then what? It's like you do it again and again and again and again. And then
not if you take enough pictures, then you don't have to do it again.
And then 10 years later, you can retire. Kira, do you
yes
keep up with
no, it's good.
Kira, do you keep up with the like with the shows and stuff?
I sure did. Honestly, I didn't think that I would, because I thought I'd be like, oh, I'm over this crap, but I've been crapping daringly again. But I do keep up with it, and I do follow quite a few of the girls, because I mean, I love the sport. I will always love the sport. Yeah, I definitely keep up with. I'll, you know, check out pictures still, even if it's just like a bikini show, because even as a physique competitor, I still love to see all divisions for females. I love watching. So yeah,
that was one of the questions. I know Melissa got like a shit ton of questions. But one of the questions was, do you think there's too many divisions in the sport? Didn't somebody ask that? Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I love it. Like, I feel like there's so many different levels of training. There's so many different body types. It's kind of like something for everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely like how like, I don't know what you said about the body types. Like it is it's cool to be able to fit into a division, because honestly, like I think about this a lot, how someone can work and do everything and get conditioned and shredded and put on the muscle, and they just don't have the shape for the division they're competing in.
Yeah.
They just don't have it.
Right.
So to have the different divisions to complement, you know, different shapes, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Kira, you started with bodybuilding, and then when physique came out, you were like, what? Like, yeah, this is way more what I'm looking for, wasn't it?
So I won my pro card as a light heavyweight bodybuilder, which sounds like, oh my God, she must have been big, but I was actually on the lower end of the weight, but symmetrically and shape wise, I fit the bill. So then that following year I switched immediately to women's physique, because it was like brand new, and I was like, oh cool, I think I would fit better into this, because once you go from like amateur to pro, like I knew I was going to have to get bigger, and I didn't want to if I wanted to do bodybuilding. So I was like, you know what, I'll just, this category is like ideal. And like Melissa said, I didn't necessarily fit into the mold of pro bodybuilding anymore. So my body was better suited for women's physique. So I was like, I'm going to jump on board with that. And so, that was definitely the transition. I didn't have to do anything differently. I just slid right in. So I mean, that was like perfect. So thank you, women's physique. Thank you.
What was the deciding
I loved
factor?
it.
Yes, I absolutely love it too. What was the deciding factor that made you retire? Was there anything in particular, or was it just accumulation of, or what made you decide to retire?
It was 12 years of competing. And it was like, you know what, we had just opened this gym. And it was like, okay, we were getting busier and busier, and it was a culmination of being busier with this and wanting to put more focus into my career. And then also, and into my girlfriend, who had been with me throughout a lot of it. And she's very supportive, but, I knew that it was just like, okay, how much longer do I really need to be doing this, honestly? And I'd already hit the pinnacle, and I'm, more than once. So I'm like, okay, I've done what I needed to do and wanted to do, and didn't ever imagine that I would be doing. So it was a culmination of all that. And it was just like that feeling of, okay, I'm kind of cool on it. I can chill out on it. I love it, but I'm not in love with it like I used to be. So it was, a lot of stuff, not just like one specific thing.
Do you think that it just is a lot of wear and tear on the body? Like, people are really, the way they're pushing, like you have like about a solid 10 years for females, don't we say? Like, I mean, Melissa, I wouldn't honestly count your beginning years. Like, I would say you've been doing this for 3 years now or something, is what I would say.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So you kind of,
it is a lot of wear and tear. Yeah.
You have to go into it with, if you fall in love with it and decide that you're going to keep doing it, I think you have to go in with an exit strategy. Otherwise, I mean, something is going to happen in your life that's going to tell you it's time to quit,
Right. And you'd rather quit from satisfaction with what you've achieved. And, I understand, like, when that passion runs out, this is freaking exhausting to do, even when you're passionate about it.
Right.
I can't imagine doing it without loving it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Kira, what does your training look like now?
Yeah, you kind of have to be a little crazy. Oh God, do I have to answer that? What does my training look like now?
Yeah, like what have you graduated to? Like, do you still like train 4 days a week or something like that? Or
I wish I could say that I do. Well, honestly, most of that, the reason I don't really train very often anymore is because I do this for a living now, or well, like not now, I've done it for a living for quite a while, but like now that I am not competing, I don't have to work out. I don't have to do cardio. So it's so much easier for me to make excuses now, unfortunately, but like also because I do this all day, every day, like training people, it honestly makes it even that much more difficult to train myself. I'm getting better about it, of course, but I have my ebbs and flows with it. But yeah, like really, I knew you were going to ask me that. And I was so afraid. I was like, but no, I mean, that's the truth. I mean, I married into my passion and it just kind of makes it difficult. So, but I still love working out and I love training people. That's, I'm blessed to feel like that. Like I do love my job.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I think that there are days, like especially lately, I feel like what is the least that I can get away with and still look like I lift?
I was gonna say, yeah, you do this all the time too. So yeah, like, do you feel the same way? I mean, I'm the same way. I'm like, oh, what do I need to do? I think is also the thing too. Like, I'm not competing anymore. What do I really need to do? So yeah.
Well, it's really funny because once you've built like a foundation, you can like work out 2 days a week and you still like you keep it. Keeping it is really quite easy,
right.
You know?
As long as you don't stuff your face.
I think, and also when you hit a certain age too.
Right.
I think once you hit a certain age, it's easier to maintain or something.
Yeah.
Oh, I play pickleball.
Pickle.
I do play pickleball and I do hot yoga. So that's why. If you don't play pickleball, play pickleball. It's so much fun. Oh, it's so much fun. Except for right now, it's too cold, but.
Is that the one that's like mini tennis?
Nonetheless.
Yeah.
Yes, it's kind of, I usually describe it as like a combination of maybe like tennis with like badminton in a sense. And it's like gaining some momentum, I've heard, because everybody I ask, they're like, oh yeah, it's so fun. Or they'll be like, oh, that's the old person's game. And I'm like, exactly. And that is why I do it, because I'm old. And it is great. It's great cardio, surprisingly.
At my apartment that I just moved out of in Charleston, there was a like it's a brand new development and there's a pickleball court. And I'm like, what is that?
Oh, yeah.
We're out there all the time.
Yes, it is so much fun. I used to play tennis, so it's like this is, a different version of it.
Nice.
Oh, I put it over there.
Melissa was saying.
No, it's in the house. Yeah.
So
just ask her. Just text her. Sorry. Little Mason had a question for me.
Melissa was saying you can work out twice a week as long as you don't stuff your face. But Kira, I know you like cake and stuff big time.
Why do you go there? Why you gotta go there? You know what? I'm not eating for the rest of the day. What are you saying?
That's not the spirit. You should definitely continue eating today.
Yes.
I do. Thank you. I do like sweet cake. Yes. I like it all. I have to watch what I do.
Yeah.
Dang. No, I do. I do like sweets. I'm a cookie monster.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
I do.
So question for both of you not competing currently. Right, Deborah, you're not competing right now, are you?
No.
So in our head, when we see food, we know what the food is, we know what the food does. How is that having, less limitation, but, not feeling like, I don't want to use the word allowing yourself because that's the point. You don't,
You're trying to be conscientious of it.
Right. Or not like just eating, like you can't go
trying
back
to find that balance
and that knowledge.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think I still obsess about like, even if I go to the grocery store and like I see, I don't know, like some dessert or something, I always look at the nutritional label. Sometimes it deters me from when you're like, what, 50 grams of fat in a serving? Are you freaking kidding me? Like that's probably what keeps me from eating like Ben and Jerry's, because it's it's unbelievable the fat and the calories in like some of those ice creams. Cause you know, like the serving is like half a cup and you're like, yeah, it's not worth it. Cause you can have like ice cream that is half that calories and eat more of it and be okay with it.
Okay. I saw a thing on Instagram the other day though. It was like, get away from this mentality, and it had like 3 pints of Halo Top and 1 pint of Ben and Jerry's. And it's like, why,
That would stop up. You wouldn't be able to shit for a week though. all those, I mean, it's truly like, you got to be careful with that. Like
which, like, do you want to eat more, or do you just want to eat what you genuinely enjoy?
Okay. So I think there is definitely a balance because, like I said, there's some things that are just too calorie laden for the satisfaction. It's like not worth it. But
yeah, that's a common thing I think too.
Yeah. But
I'll be like, oh, that's not worth it.
Yes. Yeah. Like I wish you could have a refund for the calories.
Right. Like this wasn't that good. Can I give it back?
Yeah, no kidding. Can I agree.
Right.
I think for me, when I actually retired, I went through this phase of like, oh, I'm going to eat all these things because now I'm retired, and I don't have to worry about it. And then I slowly just let myself like balance out and find that happy medium of like being able to still enjoy those things and still eat clean. So, and I tell everybody this too, it's a practice. Like you can't beat yourself up if you binge on a pint of ice cream, Ben and Jerry's ice cream, like I do. I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm going to enjoy it. But then I'm also, because eventually you'll be able to just kind of like do those things in moderation. And that is always my goal, is to do it in moderation, not to like binge and gorge. So I think that has been something that's just come naturally, is like, I just allow myself to have fun with, or, enjoy things, but then and then I just naturally don't go overboard anymore with it, as I used to. But also recently I just had COVID and I lost my sense of smell and taste. So I'm like,
sucks. That happened to me.
What's the point of eating right now? I can't taste anything. So I forego a lot of those things, or in my mind I do. And then I'm like, oh, I don't need it because I can't taste it anyway. Right. So I'm going to still, maybe in a year, I can't taste anything and that'll still continue. So no, I'm kidding. But yeah, it's kind of just like, I've been able to just find that like, healthy balance of it, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that resonates with me a lot. Like during the 4 years where I was like super regimented when I was a teenager. And then when I took those 4 years off, part of it was improving, mentally. I, went through some stuff. I dealt with an eating disorder. And so I knew that if I were going to be successful at bodybuilding, I had to get that shit figured out, or at least learn how to get that figured out. Right. And so I did that, but in the time that I was off,
and that's so hard because you were so young.
Yeah. But I mean, I knew what I had to do. I don't know how I knew, but I saw the light and I was like, okay, if I want to get there, I've got to, figure this out.
Yeah.
But in that time,
that's such a mature way of thinking.
Yeah. In that time that I wasn't on plan, I did find that balance. And at first it was hard because I thought too much about it. But then it was just like, okay, I'm mostly gonna eat. But like I it wasn't a conscious thought that I'm mostly gonna eat this stuff. It's like, this is what I like to eat. This is what makes me feel good. And then if I want that, I'll have that.
Yeah. I think with having this knowledge, you do kind of like, you go through a process, like you said, because you can't unknow what you know with everything that you're going to eat. So like for me on a typical day, for the most part, I eat the same thing. I mean, I can tell you exactly what my diet looks like for the most part every day. It's almost always the same. But if I come across something, or like, Anna and I decide to go get donuts, or, I'm going to bake something, then it's like, then you look at this food and you go, okay, do I want this right now? Is it going to make me feel like crap? You think about that and you think, does it fit? Can I make it fit within my macros for the day? So there's a lot of evaluation that goes on with things that are outside your plan.
Yep.
Because Melissa, like you said,
It's kind of like, oh my God, would I be like this if I had competed?
right,
That's what I always think.
right, or just
Yeah, but
like
it is what it is at this point.
yeah. But yeah,
It's so
you're
hard to
right.
break those habits.
Yeah. It's just an
Yeah, it's the
evaluation
same
every
thing.
time. I'm sure normal people just like eat and don't think about it at all. But I would much rather have the knowledge and be conscious of
Mhm.
what I'm doing than to be blindly going through life without any fitness or nutrition goals.
But right. But your
Sure.
preference to be aware of those things is because of your goals. You know, if you didn't have those fitness goals, those lifestyle goals, then you probably also wouldn't prefer to have the knowledge.
Right.
I remember in high school being in the car with one of my best friends, and she was just like, I'm gonna go to McDonald's and get some fries. I'm hungry. And at that point, like I was so like planned. I was like, how do you just decide that? Like how do you just, you're just like, I want some fries and I'm gonna go get them because I'm hungry right now. And I'm like, and that's it? You're just gonna get the fries because that's what you want because you're hungry?
Right.
Like, I don't, like, it's not time to eat. That's
It's
not
like so foreign. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, how do you know?
Right.
And it's so bizarre. Like, I mean, I was actually talking to someone about this yesterday, like how your hunger and fullness signals are all messed up, and
Right.
and it's not really like, there's not really a time when I'm not hungry. I could always eat, but is it time to eat?
Right.
You know?
Like
If it's
I thought
time to eat,
it's clear.
like,
Yeah, it is not my time to eat. And if it is, I'm not gonna have fries.
No.
But yeah, that's so crazy.
Do you
Other people's ways of thinking, makes me go, oh my God, I'm so weird. I'm so different, you know, and like, how do they think like this? And yeah.
I'm like, you're just gonna order that? Like, you're just like, how do you, first of all, how do you pick? If you have this whole menu and you don't have any like guidelines in your head, how do you pick?
Right.
Because it all sounds so freaking good. I don't know. And they're just like, oh, I just want that. I'm like, how do you do that?
Half of it, I don't even know what it is anymore. Yeah.
That's a hilarious concept. I guess I never really thought about it, but you know, one of the podcasts that I did with Haley Wagner, she's a like registered dietitian. I said to her after the podcast, I go, I don't understand how people don't know about nutrition when there's so much information out there. And she was like, she goes, it's because they don't care. She goes, they don't care. And I was like, oh, because I care and I've investigated and that's why I've learned about it. But she's like, most people, you know, like they'll ask, like, is this healthy? That's what they ask, you know.
They want to care. They want to care.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and they want the results that come from caring, but it's like,
but they want the results. They want to care.
Right. Right.
But it's not there enough for them to actually do it.
Yeah.
And
they kind of, it's so foreign to us because it's ingrained in us. But then other people, like, you're just like, how can you even think like that? Like, how do you not know that? Or how do you not give a shit or whatever? But like for us, we're like, oh, that's like a daily thing for us to care. You know,
you can't think about
it's interesting though.
Like you can't think about eating something without thinking about the macros or the calories in something. It's just,
and it's not even conscious.
Right.
It's not
how it's going to impact us. Yeah.
Right. It's not like I'm sitting there and I'm like, I want 25 grams of carbs.
Right.
Like, no, I know that this item and this amount of it has it, but it's not, I don't know.
Which is also why, like, to stick to your goals, it's a lot easier, like for me personally, to
like you just memorize that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and you just kind of eat the same thing all the time, you know? I mean, it's nice to
make it good.
Yeah.
Not hard to make it good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's it.
I like that routine.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to like just do the same thing every day. That's why I always tell people, like, just if you can get to the point where you're eating the same thing every day, you don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
I saw someone posted, I don't know if it was, I don't know, some big influencer on Instagram posted something about having like a few different shopping lists and cycling them, where you're eating the same thing every day for that trip.
Oh, wow.
And then, but it's all, I mean, because I eat very specific foods, but like right now I'm cooking each meal. Like I don't have my meals like set for the day. So like I'll be like, okay, I want a little bit of rice and maybe some sweet potato, but it's so much easier when I just keep it really simple. But I can still have that variety by shopping different each week. But
that's
really simple.
Don't
like, I love that idea.
Well,
that is a good idea.
I feel like I do naturally just, it's like, well, then you get sick of oatmeal for breakfast. So then you'll have, I'll have oatmeal with protein powder and peanut butter, and then I get sick of it. So then I do like a yogurt with protein powder and some granola. And then if I get sick of that, I'll do like a granola bar and a shake, which is kind of what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks. Like your meals you just get sick of something and then you end up replacing it with something else for a little while. And just, it's the phases, kind of like, I don't know. Do you guys ever notice during prep how you crave different stuff during every prep? Like it's different.
Yeah. This time
every
for
single
me,
time,
it was cheese, like pizza and like any and I'm not a big like cheese person. I never order anything with cheese on it. That's all I've wanted.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I always compare it to like, well, I don't know what it's like to be pregnant, but I'm assuming like that, the weird pregnancy cravings. I'm like, why do I want this right now? Like I would never normally eat that, but it sounds good while I'm restricted.
Right.
I'd always crave weird things. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel like from not eating stuff, my palate has
does change
so much. Like everything sounds good to me now. Things I would never have eaten before. I'm like, I would give it a go. I would give anything a go.
I would give it a go.
During prep, you do crave things you never. I remember my first one and I was like, why? I wanted sour cream and onion potato chips, and I don't even like potato chips. I just was like, I want these so bad.
You're like, that sounds great. It's not chicken and rice, but whatever. It sounds great. Yeah.
Yes.
But then like you eat your chicken and rice and you're like, okay, that's actually like good. Like that's nice.
Yeah. I eat 2 chicken and rice meals every day. Like I love that. I just love it. I never get sick of it.
That's one meal I can get down with every day. Like anything like Mexican related, like Mexican food related, I can get down with every day. Not a problem. And that's what I always tell people, like just pick something that you really like to eat and eat it every day.
What's your go-to sauce? Like, do you do like a sugar-free sauce or what is it?
Well, so I get the Asian vegetables that are the steamable, but they do have like a little bit of a sauce with them. And I think it's like the vegetable serving is like 50 calories. So I dump that in there. And then sometimes I add like a Splenda packet to make it sweeter, the rice and the vegetables. So it's more of an Asian style. And then salt. Sometimes I like a sugar-free barbecue seasoning or whatever. So I definitely like sweet stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've tried like every sugar-free, like I did, what is it? G Hughes, whatever. Yeah. I've tried all of it, like through most of my last prep, like that's what I was eating. And like, I enjoy it, but I have found that like my favorite thing that I keep going back to is just hot sauce and mustard.
Ooh,
oh my God, yes. I was gonna say Frank's Red Hot goes on everything. That's
right.
Like
always satisfying. Yeah. And it doesn't make me want more. I'm satisfied with what I eat.
Yes.
Well, yeah. I mean, hot sauce is definitely, it's like a metabolism thing, but also it's very filling. But yeah, like when I first started competing, I would try anything. I would be like, oh, any way to like make things like flavored differently, like different sugar-free sauces and stuff. I would try and I would put it on everything. And then over the years, I eventually just was like, I don't even want that anymore. And I just got like, screw it. And the one thing I would consistently use and stay true to is Frank's Red Hot. Yeah. I'm going to ride or die for that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would find that stuff like in my car, because I would always eat in my car, like on the go. So like, I'd find like random stains like on my hands and my car. I'm like, dang.
Yeah, in my car right now.
Yeah.
I've got some mini Franks and I've got a whole thing of Splendas in my glove compartment.
Yeah. I do.
Car Splenda.
Oh yeah.
Like a Splenda and like mustard, or a Splenda and like salt, like on your chicken and rice. To me, like totally simple. I love that.
Ooh, Splenda and Sriracha.
Yes, yeah. Or the Cholula sauce is really good. Or Cholula, I don't know what it is.
Cholula.
Oh yeah, sriracha and mustard. Ooh, so good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Weird
the
stuff.
simpler things are just like better.
So cool. All right. Hey, let me see what other questions I was gonna ask you guys.
That is what I'm doing too.
Yeah.
Okay. How to meet and attract a relationship with a fitness woman. Something that I want to touch on with
Kira.
that is, okay, you like the way the fitness woman looks. I understand that. But can you do the lifestyle? You know, can you deal with the schedule?
Oh no.
Deal with the food? Like, there is more that comes with it than just liking the way someone's physique looks.
You just want a trophy wife.
I mean, but like, then does she, like, if you are on totally different schedules, if you want to go out to eat, you know, for breakfast and then for dinner, and then you don't want to work out today and you want to go out on the weekend, but you like the way she
looks. Are you okay with not having a life? Is the question. Are you good with that?
Yeah, because there's going to be all this sacrifice and compromise, and it's going to be on the end of the guy. Like that's, yeah.
I mean, and that's, you know, I think like I think that is just so important, and I just learned that, you know, I mean, there's a difference between someone who, like, I mean, you might understand it and appreciate what the bodybuilder is doing, but if you are expecting that balance that we were talking about earlier, that, you know, regular balance, you're not going to get it.
Yeah, it's like, what can you put up with?
Yeah.
Right. And understanding that it's not, oh, in prep, you're going hard to schedule, and then off season, you can do whatever. No, not if you're serious.
Right.
It's you don't relax. It's just a different kind of schedule, you know?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. They don't,
like, you're always focusing on you and how to better yourself. So like, it is a very selfish lifestyle. I mean, it just is. And so that person has to be okay with it, you know? And and a lot of times you can explain it, but until you're in it, like, you really can't fathom exactly how much of a lifestyle it is. So
right. And it's not as simple as like, you know,
I guess it depends on what your role.
Wait, depends on what you say. We lost her.
It depends on like what that person wants to be in your life, you know, like I laugh at that question because, you know, I would get questions, you know, like when I was a bodybuilder, I would get more like the fan questions, like wanting to be my man or whatever. I laugh because I get, you know, and I'm like, so you want to take care of me, you think? I don't know, like that's a whole different thing, but that's why I was laughing. So
yeah.
It is a lifestyle. Yes.
Right. And the person that you're with and you yourself have to understand your priorities, and it is, you know, selfish in the sense that your schedule revolves around the things that you have to do.
Yeah.
You know, and if someone is
there's
not
nothing wrong with that.
But if someone is not going to be okay with that and they see something wrong with it, it's not going to work, you know, and that's okay on both ends, but just understand that, you know, everything you might be, you know, you might like each other for other reasons, but if my goals are outweighing my ability to prioritize you.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, this is like a lot of things. People don't really know what they want or what they think they're getting into. I mean, I get guys all the time that want to, you know, date me or whatever. And it's just like, you know,
okay. She's like, I'd be like sending them home, take a number, honey, get in line. Okay. Is this a dating show? What are we talking about?
I know, right? Like,
Just messing.
but I'm like,
She's like, I get phone numbers every day. Hit me up on Snapchat or day. Tell us the truth now. Come on.
no, but it's funny how, like, you're like, I'm a single mom and my priority is my daughter, and you're crazy to think that I'm just going to have some guy walk into our life, right? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's the same with, Melissa, you having your bodybuilding career right now. It's like, this is my top priority, not having a relationship. So,
And there's nothing wrong with that.
no,
Right.
yeah,
Don't ever apologize for that. Like, you always have to put, you got to do what you want to do.
Yeah, no, I'm so like I'm navigating this. I'm creating connections, and it's really incredible. I have no interest in having a responsibility to another person, having to check in, all of that. It's just really, it's cool to experience things and process things myself. And I don't understand, how, people's favorite question in general, not in the bodybuilding world, but in general, people are like, oh, like, are like, who are you dating? Like, what, like, I'm not, and I don't want to.
Because it's a lineage thing that everybody's used to. Like, oh, you should, go to college, get married, da 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 da. Yeah. Because I had that same thing, and I was like, I mean, I didn't get into a serious relationship until I was 27, and I don't regret that at all. So
right, and it's not that I'm not like if it happens, it happens, but I'm not going to go searching for it. I'm not going to take my useful time to search for something when I would rather fall into something.
That's the best way to do it anyway.
Don't you think that, like, people
coming from somebody who dated men and then fell into, so they always say, like, you'll find it when you least expect it, and that's so true.
Are you surprised? Were you like, yeah, that's interesting, like you just like fell into it and it's like, oh, I guess I'm here now.
Yeah, and here it is. Yeah, exactly. So I mean,
I feel like that's
a lot in my 20s. That was great. So
yeah.
Do you think that it has a lot to do with, like, I think people are lonelier than ever now, and so they want to connect with somebody, and I just think it comes across as sort of desperate. Like, it's like, this is your goal in life, is to find somebody. Like, why aren't you working on yourself? I don't get that.
Some people are like that. We're like, they think that's like what's going to make them feel better or happier. And it's like, you can't do that. But I think that is like definitely an experience thing. So if you think that somebody else is going to make you happy, but like, you have to be happy in yourself. And a lot of people just don't want to be alone. I'm like, why not? God, it's so great.
It's so great.
I don't know. That's me though.
But it's important to learn, from your relationships that you do have. But like, again, if it just happens, like if you're trying to like force something and it's taking away from you learning, like, have a relationship with yourself first, and so many people avoid their own thoughts, and whether good or bad, they're like avoided or ignored. And some time spent on other people, watching other people's stories, reading other people's lives, trying to like gather information about other people, gather information about yourself.
People are obsessed with constantly being stimulated and getting information. It's like, nobody can just, like, even, like my ex-husband is not on social media or anything like that. And he's like, one of my favorite things is just to sit by the fire outside the house and just sit. It's like, you don't have to be on your phone. You don't have to. And it's like, yeah, I get that. Like, sometimes you just want quiet, and just like, if you can't be alone with your own thoughts, like, there's a problem there.
Yeah.
That is terrifying.
What's terrifying? Being in Kira's head is probably terrifying. I don't know.
I don't know. Mine's pretty scary.
Well, that's true. That's what everybody always says. They're like, I'm like, it's a party up here, honestly. It's like a really like, it's like almost like an acid trip, to be honest.
Okay, I have a question for you guys.
It's a whole lot.
How much sleep do you get? Do you prioritize sleep? Do you notice a difference? I'm curious about sleep habits here.
I feel best when I get like between 6 and 8 hours. On prep especially, I notice if I slack on my sleep, and then I get a really good night's sleep, I'll drop like 1.5 pounds, just from getting good sleep, doing nothing else different. I know sleep is like huge for me. I try to prioritize it, but I also I want to say yes, I prioritize it in my head, but I have not been good about it. Like I'll like last night I just stayed up and watched Netflix, and I even told myself at 9 p.m. I was so tired. And I was like, I can reset myself right now. I can go to bed right now and wake up as early as I want to. And then I'm reset for the future. I'm good because I've been waking up at 7:38 and it's too late for me. I don't like that. But instead of resetting myself, I stayed up until 11:30 watching Netflix. And yeah, I know. But I woke up this morning and I was like, I messed up. I was like, I had the chance and I blew it. That's okay.
Oh,
I'll come again.
That's how I am too. I'm like, damn it. YouTube got me, or the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City got me. Oh, yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to go to bed at this time. But yeah, sleep is, I prioritize it in my head. Yeah, like you said, Melissa. But then it's like, oh crap, something just sucks me in. So
yeah, but I give myself a hard time about it because I give myself a hard time about everything. Yeah. But because I through that watching Netflix, I consciously thought about it. I wasn't sucked in. I knew what I was doing. Yeah. And I made.
You're like, oh, I know it's time for bed. Oh, I know it's time for bed. But then you stay up longer.
I consciously made the decision that I didn't want to make, or that I consciously went against my own wishes, my own goals, and at least again, it's not necessarily a step backwards because I recognize it.
Right.
And next time, hopefully,
you won't do it again. Yeah.
Right.
We all do it. That's exactly what I do. And I'm like, crap.
Yeah.
But I have to get up at 4:30 every day. So I'm like, okay, I have to go to sleep. But I've gotten better about it. So
I feel like that makes me feel
I gotta take a potty. Can I go potty real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
I have also actually. Sorry, Deborah. No, just kidding. I'll hang out until she gets back.
Melissa's like,
I'm good.
I was gonna say it made me feel good because I do the same thing. It's like around 10 o'clock, Anna goes to bed, I go to bed, and I think I could just go to sleep right now. I could go to sleep, we'd be good. Then I'm like, but I wanted to watch, and I'll get on my phone and I've been watching Grey's Anatomy since
What season is it on?
I don't know, maybe 12. I'm not sure.
No, because I'm pretty sure I watched 12, season 12, years ago.
No, I know, but I've been watching it past. Yeah, I'll go to my what am I on right now? Season 10, episode 10. That's what I'm on.
Kira, that was so fast.
Yeah. Wow.
Incredible.
Kira, did you wash your hands?
That's what I was gonna ask.
Wow. I knew you bitches would ask that too. And let me just say, I'm prepared to answer you with an honest, no, I did not. I didn't have to, it wasn't a number 2 though.
Okay. Okay, fair enough.
He's good.
Water.
When I train people and I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom real quick.
Oh, I lost you.
Everybody knows Kira's gotta go. Am I really that predictable? I do wash my hands after that though.
You know what I was thinking is great about fitness is that when you go into a public restroom, you can squat over a toilet without touching anything. I'm like, this is fitness, bitches. I'm serious, right? Like you get a nice wide squat.
I've been doing my squat.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I
That's
think,
hysterical.
yeah, it just shocks me sometimes. I'm like, heck yeah, I can sit in this position without sitting on a toilet for freaking ever. Like I am a rock star. This is
Oh my
functional.
God.
This is functional.
That's amazing. Let's make a list of all the things that fitness has allowed us to do. Squatting over a toilet or squatting in the woods when you have to pee.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had to do that before.
I love it. I love it. I know I can't think of one right now, but
that's
I
because
know there's plenty.
well, this is why you can pee so fast in a public restroom, is because you don't have to lay down toilet paper strips on
Exactly.
the toilet. Yeah. You can just squat. I'm like, I'm not touching the toilet, but I don't have to put anything down there so I don't touch my.
But I've been doing my squats, and so I can hold myself up for a while.
Yeah. Like I'm good. I am good to go, literally. Good
Oh
to-
my God.
good
That is so true. And I love it. That's amazing. Now we know your bathroom habits.
Well, I don't do that at home.
Professional squatter here.
We were just saying all the things
Oh,
in real life that fitness allows us to do. And I was saying how I don't have to put toilet paper down on the toilet seat in a public restroom because I can literally just squat over it. Boom,
You
done.
put your arms out.
I know.
mhm.
Occasionally you have to hold on to like the toilet paper holder so that you can get some, just so you don't tip over. But
Yeah, some extra traction.
Yeah.
Until you rip it off the wall.
that's-
You can like shift your weight to like your toes if your legs start to get tired,
yes, I know.
transfer into the quad.
Yeah, because I remember specifically, I went into a restroom at the same time as like one of the parents from school, and it was like, shut the door, drop pants, like, bam, I'm peeing. And like, she's like, 30 seconds behind because she's like putting the toilet paper down in the seat. And I'm
She
like,
has a medical issue.
she's like thinking, oh, Deb is so gross. Like she just sits down on a public seat, but I'm thinking, I don't touch it. I'm squatting, like.
Right. Like my legs are so strong. You don't understand.
Ladies. Oh my God. That would be a really good thing to promote yourself with. Want to be able to squat over a public toilet?
Yeah.
Come train with me.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Oh, since you're doing the PT, Kira, I'll let you use it. You can.
Thank you. Bless you, because I've never heard that, and I think that's freaking amazing. And I am going to use that. That was good.
I'm like picturing your flyer now of just like air squats.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
You should, you could do an infomercial, like you're doing your air squat.
I know.
The toilet slides underneath. This is what this is good for, many things. Yeah. Melissa, do you got any other questions that you,
Yeah, let's see.
we had there was a ton of questions. Most of them were like, would you date me? Do you date guys who are tiny?
Date guys do you only date 250-pound bodybuilders?
You're like,
And the answer to that is I have not, but actually going forward, yes.
Yeah.
Because I've learned about the lifestyle thing now. So yes.
Mhm. Yeah.
wait, yes, you do, or yes, you don't
Yes, I intend to.
date smaller guys.
No, date only 250-pound bodybuilders.
Right. I have
All right, boys, it's weigh-in time. Let's see what's up.
That's right. Nothing below 250.
they're all like binging the night before, so they gain like 10 pounds. Yeah. Everybody wants to know like what kind of guys you like or people you like. Well, first of all, Kira, you're in a relationship, so you're out. Sorry about this. Yeah.
I know.
I'm like, I couldn't even tell you if I have a type. It's like, you
Right.
have to know, like, there's got to be a connection with the person. I can tell you, I probably am not going to meet that person on Instagram.
So don't waste my time by sliding in my DMs because it ain't gonna work.
Right.
Maybe church. At this point, I'd like to meet someone at church. At least then I know that they've got morals.
Amen.
I mean, seriously, these questions are like,
I mean, I think that, yeah, it's 2021 and ain't nobody got no morals anymore, it seems like.
This is the truth. This is the truth. Let's see what Melissa.
okay, a friend of mine asked, biggest misconception that men have about female competitors. I don't know. Or it depends. Are we talking about like serious male bodybuilders conceptions about women bodybuilders, or are we talking about like the general like bodybuilder, you know? Because I think anyone who's like, elite bodybuilder,
Last year,
anyone who's like elite bodybuilder understands the work that goes into it, regardless of, female or division or anything like that. So I don't
know, misconception. I think people don't understand what it takes to do what you do. That's probably the biggest thing. That's why they it goes back to what you said before. That's why they want to be with somebody, because they're like, oh, she's attractive. But I mean, you could say that about a lot of the fitness influencers you see on Instagram too. These girls are putting a ton of shit into their physiques daily, even if they're not bodybuilding to look like that. You're doing cardio every day, you're lifting weights every day, you're on par with your diet every day, you're not eating. Yeah, I think that's like the thing, is just like how obsessive the whole it just takes a lot.
You have to be a little bit crazy. Like everybody always says, like, you have to be a little bit crazy to do this sport or to do anything involved with it. And, the more that you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it as far as like what you look like. So,
Probably.
Yeah, you have to be a little bit obsessed.
Yeah, and then probably the more obsessed you are, the better you're going to, because the more strict that you are able to be or whatever.
Right.
Well, until you're into it a little bit more and you have, like you said, a more solid base, you can relax a little bit more, maybe be a little bit less strict with your diet and stuff like that. But to get there, you have to be 100% on,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, and plus, like, the more strict you are, like, the better it's going to turn out to be. But like, you don't know that until you actually do it and continuously do it and then go, oh, okay. Because, like when you're competing each year, hopefully you look better each year. And in order to look better, you find that equation that's going to work for you, or that routine that's going to work for you, or formula is the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
So like, when people would always say, oh, can't you have a little bit of this? No, I cannot, and I think you don't know that until you actually continue to do it, because it's a guessing game. You could be like, well, if I eat one of these, is that really going to screw me up? And you don't know it, and that's the unknown.
Right. You don't know it unless you do it this time and then you don't do it next time. Next 2 years.
And then you reflect back and go, oh, well, I really screwed that up. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, that's a process. And that's a question I get a lot, is like, what does your season look like? What does your off season look like? What does your prep look like? Your weight? I haven't been doing this long enough. Like we said earlier, let's say I've been doing this 3 years for real.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have the years of experience where anything is set in stone from prep to prep. Right. I don't know. I don't have the answer. I haven't been through enough.
You can't just predict it. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
it's kind of like you're kind of like taking a gamble, really.
Yeah. And just seeing how it works. And I mean, this is part of the process as well, just measuring, variables and how you respond to them. And then, over time, seeing if that's working for you or if you can get away with this or whatever.
Right.
I mean, a couple of podcasts ago, and I interviewed Whitney Jones, and she was talking about how she's like, I eat like Oreos.
Yeah. Then over time you can go, oh, okay, well.
Yeah. She's like, I eat Oreos and donuts during my prep now, but she's 44 years old and has been doing this a long time, and she's in the fitness division, so she's burning a ton of calories. You probably do have to add more of those, hyper palatable, calorie dense foods in order to maintain your physique when you're putting out that much energy. You know what I mean? So it's different for everybody.
Right. And then this woman competed in the Olympia this year, Alex Small.
Yes.
Yeah. So her diet is like 7 meals a day, burgers, fries, like all this stuff. And, as much as that sounds so delightful to me, I'm sure it's miserable. She's just stuff her face and she's constantly eating, and it's hard to maintain weight and muscle and everything. And it's not like she would probably rather be eating much less, or rather, that grease can't feel good all the time. Like, not that she's eating
right.
Actually, she was eating Starbucks muffins, like stuff like that. Like, it sounds good, but to do that every day,
Yeah.
It's
plus it creates like poor eating habits. I would think it would create poor eating habits too, because you're really not, like, my idea of like doing a bodybuilder diet is very old school.
Mhm.
It's very white and green, white meat, green veggies, very like simple foods. I've never had like a macro where I can be more flexible with my eating. I've always, for me, believed in a very simple old school diet.
Right. Or the
I would think, so for me, that's like, oh God. Yeah.
Right. But then if you think about it, maybe to get that same calorie density in clean food, it would have to be so much food that you would literally never put your fork down, but then to get those calories, and you go with the more calorie dense foods, but still eating that much of it. And that's just as rough. Well, I don't know.
I would think that would kill my stomach. Ooh.
Yeah. Force feeding yourself is, it's just as bad as, dieting. They're both, starving is force.
Yeah.
I think when you listen to a lot of the guys talk about it, I think that's the worst, is when the eating, the off season. They're so tired, their jaw hurts. They're just sick of it,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know the only time I really experienced it was my last off season. At one point I was eating 12 ounces of rice post workout, and I was literally chasing it with water. I would take a spoonful of rice and the water to get it down, because I couldn't eat that much.
Oh
yeah. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. So this question, someone said it bugs them.
Girls, I have to get going. I'm sorry. I have to train them to go back to work. So
all right. We'll bow out without you. It's cool, Kira.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll see you girls next time, though.
For sure.
It was wonderful, and I can't wait to do it again with you girls.
Yes. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
She's wild.
I love her.
I know. I do too. Awesome. Go ahead. What was there's a couple of questions on here we could still hit. Go ahead.
Yeah. This one just said, I see other women, or I see women put other women down. How do you try to change their minds? First of all, if anything, I just see a ton of hype. I see hype everywhere. I don't see a lot of putting people down, at least not within the closer parts of the industry. This person, I don't know if they follow other parts of fitness and things like that. I don't know. But how do you try to change minds? I don't.
It could be it could be YouTube. You see a lot more of that shit on YouTube.
Maybe. I don't do a lot of YouTube, so
no.
But I don't try to change any, even if that was an issue for me. Okay. So you the only time I would or there's no reason for me to try to change someone's mind, because if they're putting me down, what they say, someone's trying to put you down, you're already above them. So Not worth, not worth the effort.
I think like maybe when Instagram sort of was more popular, like, or it first came out 10 years ago, I know I would get a lot more troll comments. I think that's just like, that's very, like, you just don't get that a lot anymore. I don't think.
Because now like the niches have formed,
Yes.
and people who are watching your stuff generally like us, like we are very there's a purpose to our page. It's not general. It's there's a focus.
Yeah.
And people are there because they're interested in that focus. They're not going to be putting you down.
Yeah.
I mean, of course you get a few comments from the people who follow you because they think you're hot, and then they see something that they don't like and they have to like comment on it. Like someone said to me one time, they said like, your nostrils are different sizes or something, or your right nostril smaller than your left or something. And I was like, I saw that and I laughed because I was like, in this person's ideal world, would I get that fixed, or did they just want to point that out? Like,
so weird.
Like, also, I'm pretty sure they didn't even have any pictures.
Yeah.
So
people are super offended about things a lot. It's very weird. I mean, I'm not saying things don't offend me. I have a short list of things that I would say I really don't tolerate, but it's not from a stranger. It's kind of like, whatever. It'd be more like, friends. Like I don't even know what it would be, but I wouldn't have a friend that's, was criticizing me for something in my life. We wouldn't be friends anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I had a friend one time who, when I first, like, I've sent Anna to private school since the beginning, and I really couldn't afford it at first. And so she knew I was struggling financially, and she was just like, why do you send your daughter to private school when you can't afford like life, and it was like, to me, it's like, life is a process, and I will get to where I need to get in time. I'm not a wealthy person now, but this struggle is happening for a reason, and not going to compromise my beliefs because I think I can't afford something. Like, we know whenever somebody can't say they can't do something or they don't have time for something, it just means it's not a priority, right? And so sending my daughter to the Christian school was a priority. She had scholarships. We made it work, and now I can afford it. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, we're not friends anymore because she would say stuff like that. And it's just like,
right.
This is important to me. It's a priority. Just, we're not going to talk about it. And if we are, we're not going to be friends about it because of it. So, but
I mean, that's, something to not tolerate.
Yeah.
Something I don't tolerate on Instagram. There's like some people, okay, comments, like, whatever people want to say, the comments don't really bother me at all. Like only if something is like really like raunchy and like gross, I'll like delete it and block that person because that's so, just ew. But
yeah,
like I had like a not that weird comment, just like an overly like a comment where like you can tell like that person is like overly excited about you kind of thing. I don't know. But I clicked on them and this page was like, and I've seen this before, like weird muscle girl animation like comics, like a sexual animation
yes,
of overly muscular women. And usually for what's the word, eccentric things like that, I'm like, okay, you do your thing. But that weirds me out.
Yeah.
Like I like, because on it, like there's something like really inappropriate, like having to do with like, I don't know. It like gave me like, made me really cringe. So like that kind of stuff I'll block because I don't want to see that shit. Like I don't want that stuff on my page. I don't want people like that involved in my stuff. Like it's like disturbing to me.
They're looking at you purely from a sexual standpoint. To me, it's just like, and I do this too. Like somebody will comment a lot of time. I mean, I block people all the time. Probably there's been probably, I don't know, maybe 1,000 in the last couple of months, guys that I've blocked. And I just have criteria. And one is like, I'll look at your page. If there's any type of sexual memes or stuff about women, I block you, because like a lot of times they'll comment about, maybe I'll say something about my faith or whatever. Oh, and then I look at them and they're like, I'm like, your page is all sexual, disgusting. And then you chose to comment. It's like a friend of mine had said one time that guys are all fishing. They're just using different bait. So they're like, they'll go to me and they'll be like, oh, she's a mom and she's a Christian. So we'll say something about like, oh, that really touched me about that post about your daughter, which is why a lot of times I turn off comments with posts about my daughter, because I don't want people, I don't need your comment, so I'm not going to allow it. But or following like thousands of women in the fitness industry, and especially if you're not following any guys, it means you don't follow bodybuilding at all. So.
And yeah, right. Like it's just like to me, saying like even coming to like or down to like photo shoots that I've done where I don't like doing muscle poses. Like if I'm flexing,
Yeah.
I don't like it to be sexy.
Right.
Like on purpose. Like
Right.
I did one photo shoot in like a bikini and heels, and like I just want to like pose because my muscles speak for themselves.
Sure.
But like throwing in like the flexing and stuff with that, like it, like I feel uncomfortable about it.
Yeah.
Because then it opens up that like that invitation to those people who are totally sexualizing this, and that's not why I do this.
Yep.
That's it. There's no part of it to me, like it makes me sick to my stomach, honestly.
Yep.
And some people love that aspect of it. Some people make money off that aspect of it. That's awesome.
Right.
But to me, like it's not just like a thought, it's like a physical, like I'm sick about it.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be sexualized in that way.
I totally can. After junior nationals, I had like 3 photo shoots set up back in 2014. And one of those was with her biceps, and they do free or they pay you for your photo shoot, because I know the images are going on their website where, guys pay for their website or whatever. And I was like, I'm fine with it. But like, I was in like a sundress. All of the photos were, it was like, I had kind of like, just like cute street clothes, couple of bikinis, whatever. I don't even remember exactly what I did. But then he was like, all right, we're going to do some video, and I just want you like pumping up your arms and like all this stuff. And I was just like, yeah, you didn't say anything about this. Like, I don't want to do this. Cause I just like, no, like this is guys get off to this and it's super gross. And just knowing that,
subscribing.
Yeah. I was just like, no, I'm like, if you're going to put my images up, like these are images that I would show my mom, or it's not like there was nothing sexual about the images but I was just like, I know that muscle and action type stuff gets people off, and it just grosses me out. I don't want to participate.
I did a shoot with a photographer, and he was a nice guy and everything, but it was for another one of those sites, and like he was like, okay, like we're gonna do some video stuff. Like I thought it was cool, and he was like, oh yeah, like I have a great editor. So I thought it was gonna be like a cool edited video.
Yeah. No.
I couldn't even watch them. There was no edits, no cuts, no anything. It was just these straight shots with this horrible like elevator music, and it was nauseating. Like it was, and I will never do that kind of thing again. Like I mean, I didn't know what it was. I even said to him, I said, sexual stuff makes me uncomfortable. I don't want, because I knew that like he has the captions and stuff on the website.
Yep.
And he was like, no, like that's not the goal at all. Like, well, And again, I looked at the site one time when he sent me the link, and I won't go back on it. And it was like something like just the wording, like flexing her biceps and this, like just how they say it. And I'm just like that's like, you're making something that's not gross at all totally gross.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem. I think one of the biggest problems with, this industry and how, yeah, like, I mean, like you said, do what you want, but I do think some of that stuff hurts the bodybuilding industry. And those of us who are trying to, be professional or be coaches or have, even fitness type careers or whatever, when you have like, I mean, I don't know, girls squatting in the gym wearing like thongs and stuff like that. Sometimes I see these videos and I'm just like, I mean, okay, what? Like, so yeah, I mean, everybody is going to pick and choose and do whatever. And, people have their OnlyFans and they do all that type of stuff, but where
are you going to set your bar?
What's that?
Where are you going to set your bar?
Yeah. And, you have to be careful because you can't undo, whatever images you're putting out there and stuff like that. So, I mean, I've heard stories about guys getting into this too, 10 or 15 years ago. And there were certain photographers that would do, almost like gay porn, mild type stuff or they would, set up that type of stuff for their websites or whatever, kind of attracting these schmoey type people to pay for these images or whatnot. But these guys didn't know when they were getting into it because they kind of are like predatory. They're like, well, now, like, same with my photo shoot. Okay, well, now we're going to do this flexing stuff. It's like, well, what's next? Like, are we doing webcam shit? It's like, I'm not going to do that. And it's funny how people are like, you can make a lot of money doing that. And I was like, yeah, but my integrity is really important to me, and I honestly was probably more naive 10 years ago. I will totally admit to that. You don't know. I mean, even in the dating world, when I went through my divorce, I hadn't dated in 15 years. I had no idea that people were just like trying to hook up. Like, I was like, people don't text like just to, like, they're not trying to get to know me. Like, so it's like you live and you learn. You definitely make mistakes, but I don't know. I think it's an important topic that you brought up, Melissa, because like people need to know like sponsorships, like what's legit, what's not legit. There's a ton of supplement companies out there that are crap. And people will be like, oh, I'm sponsored by so-and-so company you've never even heard of, or oh, I'm a fitness
ambassador, like,
yes, or I'm a fitness model because this like webcam page it's like you have to be really careful about what you're getting into.
And then what in those cases, okay, what's your next company? Since this one had this small deal and now you think you can get a little bit more from someone else, so how many companies are you going to go through until you realize that no one's ever going to trust you?
Right.
Like no one, you're never going to be able to climb within these companies because no one who follows you is going to trust that you even trust the company.
Yeah. Once you make that mistake with one or, and I mean, I think Fuad was talking about it on his podcast about how when he was getting a, honestly, I think when that phone call came through, I think they were listening the whole time. It was like a spam call. But I think that like he would have not gotten some of his sponsorships with like Muscle Tech and stuff because they asked if he did photo shoots with like this particular company or whatever like that. So it's like, you have to be careful about who you're choosing to align with because there's some shady shit in this industry and people are out to take whatever they can from you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it will. And that's, you just everything just assume everything is too good to be true.
Yes. Yeah. Every opportunity needs to be really evaluated. You need to have details, you need to have contracts, you need to investigate, like, ask other people, ask other girls. I mean, we as a community of like girls in the fitness industry, I know, like, I used to talk to women like this all the time. If you would see some guy, you'd be like, did you get a message from this guy promising this? And it's kind of like, you got to have each other's backs about this, especially so you can expose some of the corruption that is going on and keep people from getting hurt.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've talked to some other women about photographers, things like that. And it's insane the experiences people have. And then also I've been talking to other, like some athletes who have had a lot of success, who are with very big companies, about how to navigate that whole thing with the contracts. Like every company is going to tell you that they're doing what's most beneficial for you.
Right.
But what really is, especially like for me, I have no experience, and I don't want to fall into the wrong thing. I don't want to trust the wrong person, and I'm not going to, because I'm asking all the questions. But it's just so important to be informed and not be afraid to, like, again, it feels a little bit intrusive, ask other people about their offers and their, who they've been with, all these things. But
and as a woman, you really do need to trust your gut. I think so many people disregard these red flags that they see, thinking, no, this person has what's best in mind for me, or whatever it is. And it's just like, you have that intuition, they call it women's intuition for a reason. We really, really do, because we are, the protectors of ourselves, and we need to really listen to, our gut and our mind, and not just follow our hearts like a lot of us want to. Feel like, because as well as I do, that the world is not a safe place, and you have to be really, really careful.
No, I mean, if people can get you, they'll get you. Absolutely.
And you know what? All you have to do is like look through, if you've got a ton of Instagram followers, like, I don't know if you ever went to this point where like, it's been a while because it's a pain in the butt to switch back and forth, but I've gone to like a private page, and then people start requesting you, and then you have to let them in. And when you start looking at the people that want to follow your page, because I don't usually look at my followers, I usually notice people when they comment on my posts, you start to realize like there's a creepy, crazy people in the world. Like, it's just,
Yeah, but also something that like I had this mindset at first, like if someone has like, 0 posts, a few followers, and follows like a few hundred people, they're not always a weirdo. Sometimes it's someone who is literally just interested. Like if you look at who they follow, if you can. And it's like a whole industry. They're interested in that industry. They're not like just some like ghost weirdo. They just don't want to use it for themselves. And I understand that. And for a while I was like, oh, anyone who like doesn't post, doesn't have any followers, they must be like super creepy. And that's not the case. There are plenty of people with, I don't know, 80,000 fake followers who are very creepy,
Right. Yeah. I mean, definitely grain of salt with all that. I do hate, I mean, it's like, gosh, people at least have a profile picture so that I know who I'm talking to. It's like, I always,
and not anime, not an anime picture.
Right. Picture. Or a dog, or, you know what I mean? It's like, to me, it's like somebody putting a bag over their head and then walking up to you and be like, oh, I'd like to ask you about fitness. And you're just like, I don't know who I'm talking to,
Hey, can you write me a plan? What's your plan? What's your cycle?
What's your drug cycle? Oh my gosh. You had so many drug questions when you had,
in my message request, actually a girl that never mind. But I get lots of drug questions of, can you tell me where to get this? No. What? You
Oh,
can't then like go up to people that you know in your gym and ask those questions. Like you don't, I mean, it sucks. It's hard.
yeah,
Figure it out.
yeah,
Like, I mean, it's not, unfortunately, here that stuff is not legal, and
yeah.
it's not.
You're not gonna put yourself out there as a distributor or as a middleman. Like
And
what?
also, then you don't want to be responsible for someone being irresponsible.
No, of course not. No, this is why, I mean, if you really want to know, get involved in the drug aspect, I would say then you need to pick a coach, because a coach will get you on track and where you're going to go. And if it's time for you to add drugs, usually a coach by that point knows which clients they can trust, and then they will have a few sources for their clients. So that's, I would guess, say the safest way to go about things. But yeah, just asking people where that they can get drugs or whatever, that's pretty.
I mean, I have a friend at my gym who, like, there's plenty of people at my gym that like aren't like competitive, or don't know what they're doing. And he said this guy walked up to him and like asked him questions all the time,
Right.
and just straight up was like, where do you get your drugs? And he's like, no, go away. Like, what? I'm not gonna, what are you talking about? Like, it's so
GNC.
I mean, ballsy for sure, but
It's
like intrusive, and just not, you don't ask someone that.
it's so
And
creepy.
yeah, I mean,
Well, you're like, yeah, that's illegal. So you think I'm going to, I'm like, how do I know that you're not a police officer? Honestly, like, what?
right. Or talking to like, you don't know. You gotta keep yourself safe in many ways in this industry.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like people like that too. I knew back in the day there was a couple of people like that in the gym, and it was just like, and then they were telling everybody what everybody's cycle was or whatever. It's just like,
That's the thing. If you're asking, if you are that ballsy that you're just gonna ask when you aren't even in the physical or mental space to even start using that stuff,
right.
and you're just like openly like asking those questions, you're probably going to talk about it, and it's not something that you know we talk about it amongst ourselves. It's important to learn. I told you, I'm not super informed in all this. I'm learning.
Right.
But so for me, at my level of experience, to know that I'm inexperienced and not informed. I mean, imagine someone who's never even done the diet, done the proper training.
Right.
And
Right.
my biggest thing with all of that is reach your maximum potential naturally first.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
know everything on the natural side of things first, from not just the natural side, just the training and the diet and everything. Have that down.
Absolutely.
Then then you can grow your knowledge of the rest.
Yeah.
But
No, everybody wants to just get started with everything all at once, and it's just like, and the problem is once you give somebody that information about the drugs, they won't tap out their natural potential. They're going to immediately start adding drugs in,
and once you have added drugs,
yeah.
it's hard to not want to always be there. I mean, even like I'm off cycle right now, and I'm like, I'm killing it in the gym. I'm really surprised actually at where I am. This is my first time like really being off, and really like since I went on to really kind of feel myself out. Yeah, I went through a period of like I don't like it wasn't post-show depression. It wasn't like, oh, I don't look like that right now. I don't I miss being stage lean. No, it's not that. It's like it's a chemical imbalance and your body has to normalize.
Yep.
And that sucks, but you also have to have that understanding of what you're going through so that you don't do the wrong thing, so that you don't really mess yourself up by being addicted to that feeling, because you're going to screw yourself in the future,
right?
Because you're going to lose everything. You're going to burn yourself out in different ways.
I think it's really important for people to know what it feels like to be training off, especially women, because you can't be on all the time. You know what I mean? And so, just accepting that. And for guys too, when they cycle off, like, yeah, you're going to have to train harder because you don't have that push. You don't have that push to help you. You don't have the push for recovery. And get used to what that feels like if you want to be a healthy human being. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have been sore, but I've also been training my ass off. Like I've been off everything for 8 weeks, and I was pulling 405 on rack pulls for sets of 10, and my strength is still there.
Yeah.
It hurts, but it's there. And I think a lot of people make the mistake of lightening up when they come off because they think that they can't do it, but stay where you were.
Yeah. See what you can do with that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, and then when it is time for you to go back on, you won't have lost anything. This is still a building time. It's just not as easy of a building time, but your strength is going to be your guide through all this. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So you got to keep pushing yourself.
Another set of questions I get a lot is about, do you like wearing heels on stage? Do you like, the poses that you do, things like that? It doesn't matter. That's the criteria. It's not, same with the diet, same with the training. It's if you don't like what it takes to do what you do, then do what you like. And don't have that goal of being on stage. I was just talking to my family at we had dinner for Hanukkah, and I haven't seen a lot of people in a while, and we were talking about like how the stage part must be so nerve-wracking and everything. It's like, I don't even think about it. It's part of what I do.
Right.
It comes with it. Now, that's not to say that like the first time getting back on stage, I wasn't shaky. Right. Like physically, yeah, those nerves are there, but I don't feel like, oh, I don't want to do this part.
Right. Well, and there are aspects people are going to love more than other parts. I know some people actually don't like the part of getting on stage. But that's what competing is. You have to get over your nerves and display the final products. But, as far as like, do you like, right? Like, I know, honestly, I think most of the women I've talked to who do figure don't love wearing the heels because it's hard. And it's another element that you really have to practice. But like you said, it's part of the criteria. So whether I like it or not, I have to embrace this and do the best that I can with it. And, a lot of people don't like the dieting portion of bodybuilding, of competing. That's another thing. It's like, you don't have to, I don't think you have to love it all, but if you want to do it, you have to embrace it all,
Right. And if you hate it, if it is, if it's having a negative impact on your life, and on your mentality and everything, no one is making you do that. You are making a choice, and in that case, a choice to be miserable. Of course we're like, oh, like, this diet sucks, my head hurts, I feel lethargic, whatever it is, but that's not complaining. You're literally stating facts. But if you are complaining about it, like, I don't want to, especially if I'm dieting, I don't want to hear you complaining about dieting. Suck it up. Like,
Right.
Seriously. I mean,
well, and then you have to decide, I mean, it's kind of like me. It's like, that's probably part of the reason why, I mean, I don't know if I'll ever compete again, but I do like, I don't love like the hardcore part of dieting. So, I still train and I eat, and that's what I do. So you don't have to do the competing part of it. You know,
right.
he's making, like you said, nobody's making you do anything. So.
And then how
One
do
more-
you handle judging?
What?
Like being judged? Again, that's part of it. If you can't handle it, and if you are going to be mad at the other people in the, I think they talked about this on the on Fuad's podcast also. If
Yeah.
you're gonna be mad at like the other competitors, you are in the wrong place, because everyone is working their ass off to get up there.
Right.
And the judging, I mean, if you're not happy with it, I mean, hear what the judges have to say and everything. But if you can't handle the criticism,
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't take the initiative to improve from that, if you're insulted,
Right.
then it's not for you, because you have to be able to be willing to grow. You have to, I mean, as long as someone's not like, oh, you suck.
Right.
If someone is giving you something constructive, like you could do this better.
Yeah.
There's no reason to be like, well, I worked so hard on that and it's not my fault you don't like it. It's like,
Yeah.
or you could take that and be like, okay, that needs more practice. That's the part, like for me, my walk on stage needs practice. I, in the past, have not practiced my posing enough because I have not enjoyed that part.
Right.
Or it's hard, or it feels like extra. It's not extra. It's part of it. I'll do the cardio, the training, whatever, the dieting, and now I'm too tired to go pose. That's, it's just as important.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting how, well, I mean, first of all, then you said that's what suffered. It was because that was the part that you liked the least. So, maybe something else can take a little bit of a shift so that you can make sure that you spend more time with posing. Maybe you do less cardio so that you make sure you have time for posing, or you do your posing first before you do your cardio or something like that. There's always ways, but yeah, as far as like the judges, this is a sport where you're constantly pushed to improve. So there's always going to be criticism, hopefully constructive, coming at you. If you can't handle that, then this is, nobody is like, oh, I have obtained my physique, I'm done. Like it just doesn't happen no matter what. Even if you're on the Olympia, the Olympics. I mean, look at Sydney Gillian. She looks perfect, right? How do you improve on that? And yet every year she's like, we've been able to make my waist smaller. We've been able to come in tighter. We've been able to, you know what I mean? So
get more lines in there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And something that is also I found personally super important is why, like I've sat down and I've thought about, why am I not practicing my posing as much? Now, for me, it's not silly, but it sounds silly to say. It's ridiculous, but it's the truth. I have a lot of issues with my skin, right? So like I since I was a kid, it has nothing to do with steroids. I've picked at my skin, any pimple that I have, whatever, and I have scars and everything. And so I will avoid, sometimes when I'm having a bad day about it, I will avoid, putting on a bikini, or, going, like looking at myself on camera and everything, or even at the gym. And that's just not important. And I've also wrapped my head around the fact that the more I do it, the more I'm going to take care of my skin, because that's part of it. I'm out there. I have to be, I have to reveal these things I'm insecure about.
Yeah.
And again, suck it up if I want to be better.
Yeah. It's tough though, because like, I mean, I've had it even where I've had something on that like an outfit that I wasn't comfortable in, and it has impacted my gym session. You know what I mean? We're very,
Constantly like pulling my shirt to cover things. And I mean, it's the reality.
yeah, you're like, why did I wear this? I hate wearing this shirt or whatever. Or like I got done with work and I was like, if I go home, I'm not going to the gym. So I'm just going to go to the gym. And then I'm like, I feel uncomfortable. So, I mean, these are all live and learn type things as well. Like you said, you have to push yourself beyond your comfort zone. Like maybe you could wear something that, I mean, I always used to practice posing in the same clothes I wore from the gym, just so that I would, go and do it. And people would criticize that too. Oh, you're not supposed to practice. You're supposed to be wearing your suit or whatever. I'm like, well, I'm just working on transitions and flow, and I'm practicing like whatever.
Right. But like if I'm having, a fat day, a bloated day, whatever, I know now I'm not going to wear a super tight shirt or a sports bra to train. I'm going to wear something loose so I can wear my belt and not feel insecure in any way, where my stomach is hanging over my belt or something. Like, I mean, and it's ridiculous. I don't care about anyone else's perception.
No.
But I want to feel comfortable. You need to do what makes you comfortable. Like right now I'm training in like hoodies a lot and stuff, and that feels good. Like, yes, on one hand, I want to see the muscles that I'm training. I really do like that. I feel like I get a lot out of that, but I feel like I get more out of being comfortable and feeling confident when, with how I look, how I feel.
Yeah, I think that's such a great message though, too, because I think women think you probably feel good about yourself all the time. And like, no, and I understand the skin thing too. I had acne really bad on my back when I was younger, and I was a swimmer, and it always made me so uncomfortable because you're in high school and middle school and you have acne on your back and you have to wear like a swimsuit. So like, obviously the kids at school, your classmates know, and you just like, makes you feel super uncomfortable.
And something I've worked on to wrap my head around this is, you see people all the time with all kinds of things, whether you see that they're chubby or you see that they have acne, you see it and you're like, okay, that's that person, whatever.
Yeah.
And if I'm that person that has that something, okay, like literally no one is like, they're looking at me and that's just
right.
No one is looking at that. They're just seeing me.
Right.
When you look at yourself, you see that thing.
Right.
And just realize that like everyone around you, to everyone around you, you are a whole person. You're not that thing.
It's so true. Yeah, we notice our own flaws, and other people notice who we are as a person. That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Well, I thought my daughter was going to pop in before she left, but she did not. But we should, Kira, apologize for leaving. It's all good.
She's forgiven.
Yes. I know. She's so great. I'm so glad that you guys got to meet each other too, as well.
And she's really cool. And I'm like super excited about this, especially like after meeting her, like, doing this more often. Yeah. It's so cool to hear other people's experiences and play off of it. And, because we've all had different experiences doing the same things and we're all at different places in it. And it's very helpful. And I've told you this 100 times, that as I become more social within the industry, within an industry of people that I can relate to, is I just become so like more comfortable, more confident, and realizing that everyone has their shit. Everyone has their shit, which is something I knew, but it's different when you talk about it. It's such a relief.
Yeah.
Like I was talking to on the podcast I did last week, I was talking to Todd about the dropsies, dropping things. And he was like, until you said that, I thought I was alone. And until I saw someone say that on Instagram, I thought I was alone. I didn't know it was part of prep. I just thought I dropped everything. It's a thing.
I remember one time specifically, I went to open the refrigerator and I totally missed the handle. And Anna's like, did you just fall over like trying to open the fridge? And I'm like, yeah, I did.
Yep. I'm not going to even try and sugarcoat this. That's what happened.
Yeah. So I think it'll be awesome. So I think for the most part, it's going to be you and me and Kira, and then we'll just keep swapping out a fourth person. We'll fine tune a couple of things. I think the biggest thing with all of us is we have to, I don't know if there's something with Zoom or with recording, how we can make it a little bit like the sound quality better, but we have to be careful about talking over one another, because I think then everybody just gets kind of blanked out. So I think even like one of my biggest things is like you'll say yeah or you'll agree with somebody, but then it cuts. So it's like you have to just be quiet when somebody else is talking. So we'll work on that. But I know Evie was supposed to join us today, and I don't know what happened, but I know that she was trying to get somebody else to take her son to a practice or something like that. So that may have been the conflict, but the next one will probably be the 8th, if that works out for you. And then Christina Bittner is going to join us. So
Okay.
yeah, so that'll be good. And Kira, if she can join us, and if you can't, or if Kira can't, then we'll try to get some other people, but we're just going to try to go for like twice a month.
Okay. That sounds good.
I think it'll be awesome. So is there anything else that you wanted to, I know we have some great topics, and I think moving forward, I'm going to put up Instagram post up so that people can ask questions if they want, and hopefully we'll get like more women asking questions. But I think we come up with good stuff. It's just like you said, when you start bouncing ideas or thoughts out there, it turns into a conversation, and I love that.
And I feel like it's almost like there are things that are like weird, but I feel like it's almost never going to be like, I'm going to say something and everyone's going to be like, no. It's all very relatable. We all experience the same stuff in different ways. So
yeah. And as long as we have social media, there will always be crazy shit too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Lots of crazy on there.
Cool. All right. Well, have a really great day. And I think that I'll probably post this on Monday. So
okay. All right. I'm super excited.
Too. All right. This time.